Welcome, you beautiful ladies and gents. Today we have a very special episode, which is fitting with our topic, where we'll be discussing conspiracy theories. And along with that, we have two special guests today. One is usually here every episode, but behind the mics. The other is the man who literally possesses the most swag.
Hi, my name's Gabe. I'm Mike Man Gabe. I'm going to be here, and I've been here all the time, but they won't let me on. I swear. Anyway, how you doing, Donnie?
It's too bad, Gabe. I'm Donnie. Hello, guys. I'm pretty excited to talk about all these amazing, beautiful conspiracy theories.
Sorry. Hey, guys. It's Elijah. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. It's good to be back. I was on the original episode.
Yeah, this. I've never actually finished any of the episodes, but
fine.
Well, now you're finally on one.
I'm
so
a
you're
huge
forced
fan
to finish
of
one.
the parts that I've heard. But it's pretty exciting.
All right. Good stuff. So, with conspiracy theories, there's a lot to talk about because there are a lot of things that we don't really know.
I don't know a lot of things.
I know personally, myself and Gabe, we're pretty curious about disappearing airplanes, Bermuda Triangle, and everything that's happening with that. Because, what actually happens there?
There's so much to talk about the Bermuda Triangle. It's so close to us, too. It's so cool. Because there's going to be aliens to magnets to tidal waves. Wait, not tidal waves. Well, take that back. Water spouts.
To gay frogs.
Okay. Yeah, they're coming out of the air and taking them down.
I'm just gonna squash the Bermuda Triangle debate. It's a triangle. Illuminati. Case closed.
Yeah. Whoa.
But it's not like a perfect triangle.
Well, but we
I feel
made
like it has to be a perfect equilateral triangle for it to be.
I feel like
Illuminati.
Elijah's defending the Bermuda Triangle. I think he might be Illuminati.
The Bermuda Triangle is isosceles. Wait, no, scalene. Gosh, it can't be a cultist if it's not equal. Cultist circle. Wait, cultist. Don't talk. Don't look at me right now. I'm just out of my mind. It's all conspiracy.
It's all a conspiracy.
It's all a
theory.
conspiracy.
It's all a theory.
What are conspiracies?
Theory.
What are conspiracies?
Conspiracies?
Yeah, like.
What would you say conspiracy theory is, Elijah?
I just always thought okay, when I hear conspiracy, I instantly think conspiracy theories, which are, I don't know if controversial is the right word for it, but they're I don't know. They're specific. I don't know. Normally they're extreme. They extremely go against what's normally believed,
True.
but they make sense. So they get you thinking. But I actually don't know the actual definition of conspiracy. But
because if you think about it, to some people, a conspiracy might actually be something real that they believe. Because when is a conspiracy a theory? Think about it. Because theories have more of a weight to them. They have more evidence to them. But conspiracies, I guess, are constructed in such a way that there's not enough evidence to prove them. Theories have a little bit of evidence to them, but conspiracies don't. But they still have an air of truth to them. You get what I mean?
You could put a lot of concrete evidence, discuss flat Earth. What aspects about the flat Earth theory makes it a conspiracy versus a theory?
Well, there's actually a little bit about the flat Earth theory because there's in TOK, there's no right way to say that our knowledge that the Earth is round is exactly true because it's all from NASA and government agencies. I'm not a flat earther in my own defense, but I'm going from what I've heard from somebody that that there's no real way, in TOK, how are you sure that your knowledge coming to you is real knowledge if you haven't seen it yourself? And you could say that the curvature of the Earth that you see is just a refraction of light in a weird way from a distance, makes it look curved. Because if you think about it, if you look at a road from a distance and it has heat waves, it looks all warbly. And it's is that road actually warbly or is it just my eyes playing tricks on me?
Well, I think that a conspiracy is a theory until you can prove it true. But then that raises the question that, okay, so let's say there's this one known fact, and then suddenly there's a conspiracy theory that challenged that. Does that make that also a conspiracy theory? For example, like the moon landings. Okay, so everyone believed in the moon landings until conspiracy theories started to come up. So then couldn't that also mean that the actual moon landings are conspiracy theories like themselves and not just like the other side, the like people refer to the fact that they were faked is a conspiracy theory, while the moon landings are like the facts.
See,
But then-
that's why, like with that, I think that's where the different like positions of the term come in. Like for example, like a conspiracy, the conspiracy is just the moon landing, but the conspiracy theory is that it's fake.
Well, I looked at the definition of conspiracy is it's a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful.
Which he could also. This is also an interesting thing I just thought of like, what if the conspiracies are conspiracies? Like, think about it. What if the moon landing being fake was because this is space race time. What if the communist Russia came down as like we want them to think that they didn't actually make it to the moon, that we're superior, and we want this to permeate forever. So we're going to say, like, they're going to be there and they're going to say, like, and this group of people is like, I don't know, that looks fake. And then everybody's going to start believing it because I'm making like a little virtual situation right now, but basically what I'm trying to say is that the communist Russians came over and said, are we sure that they actually made it to the moon? Is this real evidence? But they did it in such a way that it was our idea, so that we would always be against our own government and our trust in the government.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the formation of conspiracy theory right before your ears.
Yeah. I just created a conspiracy theory that a conspiracy theory is perforated by the communist government during the space race of whatever time that was.
You're now officially a psychopath.
1969. I just remembered.
But yeah, I mean that is like one of the most prominent conspiracy theories going around today. And it's interesting to see the arguments against why the moon landings are fake, because apparently if you look at the footage from the original moon landing, there are a lot of clips of the astronauts walking on the surface, and it looks like it's supposed to be in a different location, but the background's like the same backdrop. So it's like,
oh yeah,
they're using the same studio at different angles to film different locations, quote unquote.
But it's like it's so weird because like at the same time, it's space. Like what out there is gonna look different unless you happen to get like the sun in frame. You know?
Yeah,
like
that's
it's all
true.
gonna be like black sky, white, pasty moon.
Yeah.
and also if you think about the quality of the camera they sent up,
Mm-hmm.
like what can you attribute to actually being stars and what's grain in the footage? But I also have an interesting thing from the moon landing is that if you look at the boot that Neil Armstrong went up in, he like the boot and the first footprint on the moon are different, but they say that the boot that's on the moon is a special boot that Armstrong wanted made. It's like, how true is that? And also, is Armstrong a part of the conspiracy? Ooh. Does he know that does he know that it's fake, or if it's true? Did he actually go up? Oh,
I think he would know. I think he would know.
I'm sure that
No, he doesn't know either. He was
if they
knocked out.
faked it, I don't think they'd be able to fake it well enough to where they made a team of astronauts actually believe
Listen,
they were on the moon.
they created LSD, so we don't know what they were thinking when they went to the moon.
So what I'm gathering
man.
is you cannot. It seems as though like conspiracy theories remain almost unprovable because like once a conspiracy theory arises, then the validity of statements on both sides of the argument become like muddled.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's a fact, and then someone makes a conspiracy theory against it, and then the fact becomes a conspiracy theory because then both can be seen as secret plans or like things that were changed to create, I don't know, well, according to the definition, do something unlawful.
Yeah.
Do you think like conspiracy theories just like go away sometimes? Like think about the first guy to suggest, hey, what if the sun's not moving around us, but we're moving around it?
I swear,
like everyone must have thought that guy was insane. But like now we get to a level where we have the technology to prove that it's true, and it's no longer just a theory or a conspiracy theory. It's no longer just this wild accusation. There's some truth to it. So like, do you feel like when he first said that it was considered a conspiracy theory, or do you think it's just like there has to be like a certain Like, do you think there's some sort of certain formula that forms a conspiracy theory?
I had this funny idea of that, like about that the other day. I was thinking that think about all this technology that they disprove molecules and like that they not disprove, prove that molecules are like this way and space is this way. Think about how expensive that technology is. Like only large institutes really have that. And like, what if you get into MIT and you go there and they tell you, well, JK, we were all just kidding for the masses. And that's really not true. But just tell them this anyway. It's like we get into MIT, Donnie, and they're like, none of it's real. We're just pranking the world, dude.
Yeah, all that biology that you spent your entire 11th and 12th grade learning, yeah, it's all fake. It doesn't matter.
Well, what have we done but 2 lab experiments?
Yeah, not behind. It's okay.
Yeah, plus the fact that there were other missions that sent people to the moon. I think 12, I don't know for sure, but 12 other astronauts went up on the moon. So at this point, what would be the point of keeping, if it really was fake and we did it to win the space race, like we could easily just come out and be like, ha, got him. Like we faked you. Like
it would be because there's so much evidence now, just like you were saying, proving that we can get to the moon. So even if that first moon landing was fake, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't.
Yeah, like making it to the moon is like we shouldn't be bickering about something from back then because like nobody's really happy with how the government was, even in Russia at that time.
Yeah,
but just moving away from like the moon landing specifically, like one big conspiracy theory that is definitely hard to prove, and it's one that I think at some point in time resonates with everyone, is the Mandela effect.
Oh yeah,
that.
One that I just got told the other day that I didn't even know was a real Mandela effect is whiteout being spelled without the H.
Oh yeah,
that really bugged me because I was thinking, why can't I just white out the whiteout and put white on the actual thing?
And for those of you who don't know, the Mandela effect is in essence like this effect where everyone like thinks that something is true, and then it turns out that it isn't. Like it's. For example, with the whiteout example, it's like everyone thinks that whiteout is spelled with an H, but it turns out it never was spelled with an H, but you're fairly certain that it was spelled with an H, and like everyone agrees with it. Like, that's kind of the Mandela effect.
Actually, I'm one of the few people that actually thinks it was always WITE. I don't think I remember an H there, but I think the most effective Mandela effect case for me is Jif and Jiffy, the peanut butter company.
I thought you were talking about the image.
No. The company.
No, sorry.
The company Jif. Because I distinctly okay. So it is Jif. I mean, apparently, you look it up now and you go to a store. If you find it's Jif. But okay, I swear, I remember because this is how I learned what the word Jiffy meant. There's that. Like some people will say, "I'll be back in a jiffy," or like you know how that phrase where like I'll be back real quick.
I haven't heard that in forever, by the way.
Yeah, same. And I really, even if I do hear it, it's like some old random lady. Like, I'll be back in a jiffy. But because I remember when I was little, and we would always buy the Jiffy brand before Great Value was a thing. And
is it not Jiffy?
No, it's Jif.
See, I think you guys are thinking. I think you guys are thinking of Jiffy Pop.
What? No,
Jiffy Pop is a
I
thing.
don't even know what that
Jiffy
is.
Pop?
Jiffy Pop is like pop. It's like this pop. Wait, I'm pretty okay.
Okay,
Jiffy Pop is for certain a thing. It's like super quick popcorn, like back in a Jiffy.
Yeah, back in a Jiffy. See, and that's the thing. Yeah, Jiffy Pop is a thing. It's a popcorn thing. But
okay, yeah.
But that's completely different. No, I'm talking about the peanut butter. Yeah, that. I swear it used to be like that. You can't.
For those of you at home, Elijah is now being shown an image of Jiffy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like he's going crazy.
Yeah, he just showed me an image of what I swear it looked like, and it was Jiffy on the Jif logo. Like the design hasn't changed, but I swear it was Jiffy because when I was little, my mom, when we'd go to the store, I asked her, and this is those like memories you remember as a kid, but
yeah,
like there's so many things you don't remember. But then there's like the weird random small things you do distinctly remember.
Oh yeah.
This is one of those. And I asked my mom why it was called Jiffy, and she explained what the phrase "I'll be back in a jiffy" means, and it's like quick,
Yeah.
And so she said they named it that because it's supposed to mean it's a way for people to make lunch real quick or breakfast. It's just one of those fast like meal type things. Peanut butter and jelly is just it's
an adverb. It's like yeah.
And that's why it's Jiffy. And so, but for a really long time, we didn't buy a Jiffy brand. So like it was just kind of one of those things you see in the store, you walk past it. And then I heard about the Mandela effect a few years ago. And one of the cases was the Jiffy case. And I was like, I swear it's Jiffy. And I distinctly remember looking up like the logo online and seeing that it was Jif. And yeah, I lost it. I completely lost it because I swear it was Jiffy.
I feel like there's like, sorry, does anybody else? I mean, I feel like there's two sides to that Mandela, like, because that Mandela effect, because like whenever you're young and you see a product or you see something, I feel like over time, your memory is kind of like a computer. Like it keeps the memories, but it just kind of compacts them, kind of like zips them up in a big folder, and then might get corrupted over time. Like you might remember seeing Jiffy, but it might have been like a jar of Jif next to a jar of Y.
I don't know. It's just one of the...
And you just remember it as Jiffy.
I swear, because I used to think it was funny. Like, Jif isn't as funny sounding as Jiffy, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I found it funny and it stuck. And then, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is my mind playing tricks on me, but I swear.
But I mean, like, I just think that they're really, like, it's interesting how this is one of those things, like with the moon landing conspiracy, it's just like, oh, we can get to the moon now, so it doesn't matter, basically. Like, you can dismiss the argument, or you could argue for this side or that side. But with the Mandela effect, it's like everyone experiences it at some point in time in some way. So it's like, does it exist? Does it not exist? Like, that's why I'm curious, like, what's the formula for, like, a conspiracy
like
theory?
this mass hysteria kind of thing?
More like just, like, what makes up a conspiracy theory?
Well, would, like, rebranding or, like, something, remembering something as something else really be a conspiracy theory, or just, like, some kind of like vague element in your mind that is shared with a bunch of people?
But see, like that's like, I think that's one of the things that will make it a conspiracy, like the shared among lots of people. I think that's like going to be part of the formula, because like a lot of things to the Mandela effect are like a lot of people thought this too. Like, for example, there's the one where like, you know, like Darth Vader's phrase is changed.
Oh,
like
Luke, I am
whether
your
or not
father.
he said, "No, I am your father," or "Luke, I am your father." It's like a large majority of people remember it one way and a large majority of people remember it the other way. So like just, it seems like just sharing that kind of thought process with a large majority of people is something that helps formulate what is a conspiracy theory.
Well, I think the way that we define conspiracy theories, or the way that we look at conspiracy theories now, like veer away from the actual definition of the words, because I mean, conspiracy like ties in with the word to conspire, and so you hear that word used often when people are trying to come up with the secret plan to
conspire against
like,
somebody.
Yeah, you know. And so like conspiracy theory is just an idea that theorizes the a conspiracy. Yeah. But the way we look at it now is if there's anything that goes against something that's so strongly and publicly believed, then it's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Like if I came out right now and said that
we don't want to create gossip, so make it pretty something subtle.
Okay, what if Santa Claus isn't real? Boom.
I can't believe you just said that.
We already proved his existence with a previous podcast. Excuse you.
Oh, really?
But we'll entertain your little thought process.
No,
it's already been confirmed that Santa is a fourth dimensional being.
Oh,
Santa is fourth dimensional being.
So Mike, man, I feel bad.
Plug episode 2, season 1. Check it out.
Yes. Actually, you didn't know I was referencing that. Secret. I'm just kidding. I didn't know. But
he brought me my new like laptop, and if you diss him, you're dissing me.
But yeah, you can continue what you're saying.
But yeah, you know, like something like that. It's just if there's anything that's publicly and strongly believed, and some organization or some person comes out and challenges, and it makes sense. If their like challenge makes sense and people think about it, then it's instantly a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. We've been talking about the theories themselves. Why don't we talk about the organizations that we think make these theories? Like Area 51 and like what was it? There's an airport somewhere. It's like something international, but it's in America, that they say there's a giant cult under the ground that nobody's like allowed to go into. Have you heard of that?
I have. I don't think it's JFK.
I think it is JFK.
It is. That's the one in New York.
Yes, I think so. Like there's like a giant cult. There's giant murals about like world-ending events like at the airport.
I've heard of it though,
and it's like super weird. Like dang it. But yeah, because conspiracy theories, like now I think about it, conspiracy theories is like a theory meant to conspire, but like usually like the modern most modern conspiracy theories are not meant to like conspire against what we know in an evil way. It's like just questioning, usually in a sense, like how is this different? So I don't know, like conspiracy theories are held in such a way, like the definition of them, like their word definitions, their connotations are like more of a negative. Like this is conspiring against everything we know, like Crime Thought or something, 1984. Anybody remember reading that? Let me look it up.
No dice.
No dice. Oh, I love 1984. 1984.
But what you were saying about like the organizations that create the conspiracy theories, I don't know if there are so many that create them or like things to disprove like what the government tells us as a distrust of like whatever government that you are following. So like over time, there's trust lost in the government. You can see that. We've seen it in history with studying the Vietnam War this past like 2 weeks. We see that they didn't release information. It got released. Trust in the government fell drastically.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times people are questioning like the moon landing and a lot of these secret things that we don't know a lot about because it's only from what our government is telling us.
So like you're saying something like conspiracy theories can be developed to either push an agenda or to either like or even to work against an agenda. Like for example, if you lost trust in your government, you might develop these theories to like promote the doubt. Like I mean that can even be pushed by an agency as well. Like if you want to promote doubt within a government, you can push out a conspiracy theory. And I mean, I feel like that can be very effective to like, militias who want to overthrow their government, or for example, they might want to like kind of push out these theories to weaken the trust in the government. That makes it easier to overthrow.
Yeah. Sorry.
And it's also like what we were talking about a while ago with crisis actors, how and not to be insensitive of current events, but like Stoneman Douglas and all the recent school shootings, all like the people who are being interviewed on the news and crying about people dying or like friends, family who die. There is the theory that those are just actors who try to help push an agenda. Like, for example, they could be crying and be like, oh, this wouldn't happen if we had more gun control, as Caleb said. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with like things like that is just, it's hard to prove it wrong. Like it's so easy to say things like that with a lack of evidence because like it might be hard to find evidence for someone to prove that statement to be true, but it's also hard to find evidence against it. So you can get away with saying things like that. And whether or not people believe you or not, you cause ripples, So if your true objective is to push an agenda, to some extent it's going to like take an effect.
Was there not an issue like that in philosophy last year where you like present an argument in like such a way that you don't really have any facts, but you can't be disproven at the same time? Or maybe in debate, there's just like elements where you say something and you present just enough like background information to make it seem like it might be plausible or possible.
Yes. When
in reality, no one can really say for sure because of how like the different aspects of whatever scenario it is.
Yeah. And I think another good example of that are people who set up like certain arguments, like when you put it into a position where you need to argue with someone, you formulate it so that they're the ones who have to seek the questions. Like you end questions for like, why not? So like they then have to search for the answers. And like being religion. That you set it up so that they cannot prove you wrong, it sets an illusion that you're right until proven wrong, even if you're not. And it's a good way to present yourself.
Yeah, it creates like the issue in debate, like whatever issue you're trying to debate with someone.
Is God real?
Yeah, you can say, well, do you have physical proof that he is real? Mm-hmm. Or
and I could say a miracle. Yeah.
Made up, like whatever, Bible's fake. Or is the Bible real? Do you have proof of that? There's different elements that you have to like focus on. But when you ask those difficult like why questions for something that doesn't really have a why or a how, it creates like, I don't know, some kind of disconnect in actually what you know and what there is to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But going back to what you said about the how we're studying the Vietnam War and with the leaking the Pentagon Papers, it's crazy to think that. So now there's all these crazy, quote unquote, crazy conspiracy theories about, what if the moon landing was fake, or Area 51? Did you know there's a whole section with aliens living on Earth? Or what if the
water's turning the frogs gay?
Yeah, what if the water's turning the frogs gay? And all these different theories that it's hard to believe, but you can't 100% doubt them,
Yeah.
But then again, if you go back 50 years, how long ago was
The
60s?
Roswell incident?
About 50 years ago. No, to Vietnam.
Oh, Vietnam. Sorry.
Think in context the people of the time. So during World War II and World War I, the people had the ability to read the newspapers and read what's going on the war front, see what's happening in the war, and believe it, and trust that they're getting accurate information and that they're being informed properly. If we're losing, we're losing. If we're winning, we're winning. And you just read it in the papers. And so there wasn't many cases before the Vietnam War where the news would lie about the war effort. And so in the 60s, it was possible that there were some people who came out with crazy, quote unquote, crazy conspiracy theories like, guys, what if in this war, the government is lying to us through the news and telling us that we're winning when we're actually losing? And, of course, everyone would look at them and say, okay, well, that's kind of crazy to believe, but it was hard to 100% doubt them. And then here comes half a decade later and the Pentagon Papers come out and they're like, well, heck,
Yeah.
And so then it just changes the entire mentality of things. So like God knows what's going to come out in the following years and potentially change.
And I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because it's like, I can't remember his name, but one of the newscast, one of the reporters, if you will,
Walter Cronkite.
he was considered, he was considered
Cronkite.
the most trusted man in America at the time. And you come to our modern day, and you come to our modern day, and you no one in the media will ever be considered one of the most trusted people in the nation. We're never going to consider anyone at this point in time. We're never going to consider them to be the most trusted people in the nation. And that could be residual effects from the Vietnam War. But it's funny because nowadays it's that's how these conspiracy theories get spread, through the media.
Yeah.
And it's we've already lost our trust in them, but it's we're still pushing out all these theories and now all these different spins on the stories. And it's almost as if the slow development of the theories has affected
It's
what's presented to us. It's we create these theories and then we get these spun stories spit back at us. It's almost as if birthing the theories, even if they don't have a direct effect, they birth they nurture the thought process and cause more people to think this way, and it just rapidly increases over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That idea of media and trusting the media and how that displays information, not to get too political and too recent, even though no controversy on the podcast. When Trump says, oh, it's all fake news, or fake news, it's not real, whatever, those allegations are not true. That again brings about distrust for the government, or media, I should say, not government. It brings can you really trust the media and what they're saying? Is this report actually true, or is it fabricated in some way to appear worse than it actually is, or appear better than it actually is, whatever the case may be, whatever side you're on? So I don't know. It kind of ties into that a bit.
Yeah.
And with that, so I wonder where the origin of these conspiracy theories started. Because if we agree, it seems like we're on the same page. It seems like the distrust began around the Vietnam War, and it's so do you think the media began pushing out these conspiracy theories as a way to distract from obvious lies, a way to because if you throw out these wild theories, then the audiences are going to doubt the sources, of course, depending on how wild they are. So it's the media could use this as a way to say, hey, some people say we're lying, but hey, this person lied, so they could be lying.
It's
or would the origin be
dampening.
the people, for example?
Damage control. They're dampening, they're giving you something that's bad, but not as bad as the real thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, a lot of the sources of these conspiracy theories, I did a little bit of research just a while ago, and it turns out there's this common thread that a lot of the people who come out and start these conspiracy theories are people who claim to be former workers of these organizations. So, for example, with the moon landing, a lot of flat Earth arguments came from people who claimed to work for NASA and were retired and came out and said, okay, well, I used to work for NASA and I have this very top secret information. The Earth is actually flat, and stuff like that. Or things like the moon landing. I mean, this is the same organization, but again, workers from NASA, people who claim to be workers of NASA would come out and say, we filmed the moon landings in a studio.
there's actually this interesting event that I didn't even know what happened. War of the Worlds, right? With the aliens and such, in like the book and what the movie was based upon, they actually had a real life radio broadcast. It was a news play, and it sounded so real that so many people thought aliens were actually invading the world and like took up arms in hidden houses against the aliens. Like, look this up. I'm no joke. A lot of people were angry at George Orwell for doing this because it was George Orwell, right? Anyway, they were so angry about him because like everybody like believed what happened on the radio, even though they did announce that, hey, this is a story. Well, people just joining didn't know that, and a whole bunch of people. I think some people actually died, but I think that's also a conspiracy within the event that people died from it.
Mhm.
But
That's actually really weird to think about, that a radio broadcast, like for a movie, right? Or a book?
it was a book at this time.
Okay, a book would like cause that. Like, I don't know, that's weird.
Yeah, but it's back to trust in the media,
Mhm.
and it makes you wonder if like how Amari was saying, like, where do these stem from? It makes you think: is it damage control, or is it like them not hiding their stuff well enough?
True. Going back to what Elijah said about like people from NASA coming out saying moon landing's fake or the Earth is flat, there's like if you look and see like what people on the International Space Station say about things, like people who return from space, they say that when you're up in the International Space Station, seeing the Earth in like a small like orb like floating through space, it really makes you like reconsider how you think about things and how like small you are in comparison to everything else. So it's like interesting that people from NASA would say the Earth is flat, while there are people who are astronauts that are like, it's the most beautiful thing that you will ever witness in your life if you can see the Earth in that perspective.
There's back to the flat Earth theory. I'm totally all for space travel, and like their events are totally. I feel like looking at the Earth from a spaceship would be so like enlightening, so enlightening. But another flat earther thing is that there's like a layer of radiation actually around the Earth. Like they say that can't be broken through. Like in science, like they say that there was this radiation layer discovered that like can like burn up almost anything that they said. Like they say. And then they asked Neil Armstrong how he got through it, and he's just like, oh, I assume we just got through it. But they're like, but you can't, because the radiation's there, and you can't get through that radiation. It burns up anything.
Gabe, are you sure you're not a flat earther?
I don't know.
Gabe,
I don't know.
you've been spinning a lot of conspiracy theories during this podcast. I'm just saying. At first, I was thinking Elijah was part of the Illuminati, but I don't know.
No, but you're right. I mean,
Wait,
there is that argument.
The way you said it only sounded like I had one. I don't know how to spell Illuminati. I'm not in the Illuminati.
What?
I'm not in the Illuminati.
Well, just one more conspiracy theory I'd like to touch on. Well, it's not necessarily a conspiracy theory, but it's definitely a topic that's kind of mysterious still today. And I'm a huge aviator fan and anything that has to do with aerospace. And one huge mystery is the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. And there's a lot of different beliefs on what happened to her. But I've always wanted to know what the most common belief was.
That's interesting. I actually don't know like too much about that topic. Do you like have any knowledge yourself?
Well, she was an aviator, and in the 30s, like at the break of dawn of World War II, she attempted to fly around the Earth, and then on her last stop from, I forgot where she left from, but she was on her way to New York because she left.
That was on the brink of World War II?
Yes, this was right before it broke out.
Oh.
And so like tensions were already stirring at the time. Maybe if not heavy tensions, there were still some war tensions going on at the time.
Yeah.
Because it was mid 30s and there were already the spread of fascism and of course communism by that point. And so basically on her last leg back to the U.S., she disappeared, and a lot of people claim that. Well, just for context, some beliefs are that she happened to fly over Japan, and while she was flying over Japan, she was shot down, and so she was they forced her to land, and so she instead of crashing, she actually ended up in Japan and lived some years and died of old age while in Japan. And then other conspiracies are that she crashed on an island called Howard's Island, and it's just somewhere in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, I think, or Antarctic.
I'm pretty sure it's somewhere.
Arctic Ocean. I'm not. I
mean, between New York and wherever she was.
I don't remember if her last stop was California or if it was New York.
I can't remember either. But if you think about it, nowadays they shoot down like full, like highly tech planes. So I mean, she could have got shot down as well.
Yeah. I think it was more of because if she were to be blown out of the sky, you'd see debris in the ocean, or you'd find her plane.
The ocean's pretty big, though.
That's true. But one strong argument is that Japanese aircraft escorted her down. Ooh. So like they forced her into Japan, where they hid her aircraft or disassembled it and just put away everything. And then she just lived there as a prisoner of war. But that doesn't make too much sense since I don't know. But that's just one idea that came up.
Recently, well, maybe not recently, when the story initially broke, it was recent, which could have been a couple of months ago or last year or something. There was like a picture that was released, and it was like claiming that Amelia Earhart and I think her co-pilot were like in it and sitting. I forget the exact location, but there's also like on the Washington Post, they posted something saying bones discovered on Pacific Island. So, I mean, there's a lot behind it. And it's like one of those things, like, can you ever like really know what happened because of how like the history validity of it, the events of like, how much do we really know? And just different aspects of like flying around the world in the 30s as the first female aviator to try and do so.
And with all that said, I suppose you'll have to research all these theories yourselves to come up with your own conclusions, because that will wrap up our podcast for the day.
I'm not in the Illuminati. Don't tell anybody.
And this is your boy, Omari, signing off.